Right. I'm a second late. I'm sorry for that. Okay. Hi. I hope everybody had a good weekend. So, I did. I had a very busy weekend. My wife put it really succinctly when she said, "We need a weekend to recover from our weekend." That's how you know you've got an intense weekend. Could I say the word weekend anymore? All right. Yeah. So, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope everybody felt productively fun and happy and doing the things they want to do with the people they want to do them with. To some extent, anyways, or feeling like you've got whatever it is that you needed to get fulfilled to whatever extent that you could. All right, happy. Frank Salazar has made some statements already here. Good afternoon, Gary. Welcome aboard. Frank has said, I've said I'm collecting the pages for my new book, and Frank has said that page collections is better than text collections, which is very true. Yep. That's true, Frank. Very true. Okay, standard statement. If you have a one-page comic idea that you can put in 1 or 2 sentences, put it here in the chat or in the comment section below the video, if this is after the video has been recorded. So, yeah, I hope everybody had a good weekend. I have had a crazy productive weekend. So, which is good. It's a good feeling. But I also had grandkids all weekend, so it was busy. So, but you know, the stream I did on Friday talking about how to try to get things done in the midst of chaos is a very real thing for me. Having raised my brood, and then now having their broods. It tends to keep you hopping, and you tend to learn to have to juggle. But it's not just in that case example that I gave there. There's all those other things that people have to juggle, all their different responsibilities, all their relationships, all the different obligations that they have. So I hope that was helpful for people anyhow. But I have managed to sit down and start to structure through all of the pages that I have together at this point. And I am now 58, which actually the count at 58 is actually 65, because I've got a 4-page here, a 2-page there, a 2-page there. Actually, there's another 6-page there, so I think I'm much farther over that, but doesn't matter. Point is, and it's just so you don't think I'm cheating. I've gone through some of the pages that I did last year in the portrait format, and I've reformatted those into the landscape format in order to be in this book, because they have yet to be published, and I think that they're decent pages. But I'll be revealing those over time. And in the interim, I'm finishing off a bunch of things. That's where this page comes from, or that's where this story comes from that I posted today. But looking for the suggestion I was given was looking for a viable pod. Which was one of those suggestions where you go, yep, pod. And the person was actually talking about gardening. I didn't know that at the time. I found out after the fact that it was something to do with gardening. But I took it as a time and space pod where you travel through to other times and spaces. And so I took a little bit of liberty there with whatever their conceived idea was. But that's the fun thing about suggestions, is that you suggest an abstract term, and I'm going to go left when you were thinking right. So which maybe offers a new avenue of insight into the person that suggested right. I don't know. But it's a fun thing to engage like that. So this page is a 2-page piece that I posted today, looking for a viable time-space pod, and it has a funny little ending. So, but it was a chance to have some mobster guys chasing a fella down an embankment who runs into the woods, and this thing charges up enough for him to shoot across time and space, and then now he has to figure out where he's going to go get that charge next. Good luck. So this weekend, I think I left off with the fish on a pizza pie page, which it hasn't got a big response. It did not get a big response. Maybe a lot of people took offense for their Italian heritage. I don't know. Nothing was meant bad by it. And then I did Hercules. Hercules is my riff on these fables of history may be, building up the reality of who this guy could have been if he was a guy. And then, of course, Food Trucks for Cannibals came out on Sunday. And this is a dicey one that I've had at least one person say, I don't like that. Okay. Not for you then. But it's, it's, if I'd go back in, I'd go back in and do the full coloring for it. It's a really basic and flat coloring, but this is me learning how to use the magic tool. So now that I've got an idea of the magic tool, look out. I'm going to play with that some more. And then today's page is this. So, what I'm really excited about with this page is that all the things that I figured out since originally drawing this originally took 4 pages, right? And thanks, Frank. What if a cannibal didn't approve? Well, you can't help them. Initially, this was 4 pages that I reformatted, cleaned up all the borders on it, and put a little bit of special effecting on the text there. I mean, this last panel on the second page was an entire page on its own. I had just this idea for it to be these larger images, and I realized that tightening that up changes the linear element of time. Well, that's actually kind of a funny thing in the context of this story, but what it actually does is it tightens up our pacing, and editorially it encapsulate the story better. And you don't need 4 pages for this. You don't need so much more expressiveness of the flip of the page. That it just changes the pacing right off there. So, hey, Philip is joining us. G'day, Philip. Gary has a 1-page comic pitch off the expression, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. Okay, that's all. I gotta write all that down. If wishes were horses, hold on, get the book. That's right. I talked to myself out loud. Okay, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. What is that from? I'm curious what that. And maybe have a beggar realize. Wishes are horses. To that I say nay, sir. No. I like that R is on the capitals. Gary says that he doesn't know where he first encountered it. It was in a logic class. There's classes just for logic. Everyone sit down and be serious. Now think. Yeah. Logic class in college, it always stuck with them. The things that I was talking about this weekend. The sort of stuff that stuck with me is, sayings by Foghorn Leghorn in the type. I was thinking about a whole bunch of those this weekend, but it's funny how expressions do that. They stick right in your craw, and you got to do something with them. The last suggestion that we have running off of our last little round of them that came in, and I'm fully up to collecting more. If people have more suggestions, feel free to shout them out. We have a leftover of superhero mail order scams is from Franklin Salazar. Gary says he had a semester on logic, argument, fallacies, etc. Yeah, that would be useful. So yeah, I've got a leftover one from Frank, and then a number of the older ones that I don't remember who they were because I didn't write down their names because, Chris is a jerk. Stuff that is coming up to be posted is, let me see. Rachmaninoff is a page. Bad Luck Billy is a page. Halloween 58 is a page. What is this called? Who is he? I can't remember. I can't even remember my own title because it's so elaborate. Halloween 58. Who is he? Etc. Elvis Resurrected for the Holidays. Hey there, big stuff. That's a 2-pager. A Man Walks Into a Bar is a 4-pager. Flat Earth Fisheye, or what? Fishy Flat Earth's Fantastic Finale is also coming up, and so I got a whole bunch of things on lined up to come out, and this is polishing off pages drawn in a portrait format into the landscape format, because they didn't. By the time that the last 1-page comic extravaganza was in print or was being prepared for print, I'm still doing 1-page comics. So these sort of things have gathered up afterwards. And then I've switched to this landscape format. And again, my reasoning behind switching to this specific format is because I think that one of the greatest challenges that presents itself to comics and differentiates comics from a larger, more open market is simply the fact that we stick to this established, identifiable, that's the comic size. Well, that's what you're stuck with now. So the only option you have to get into bookstores is to do trades. And trades are a lot of work. That's a lot of pages to get together to do trades. So, yeah, I'm trying something out here. We'll see how it works. This could be a fantastic failure, but or it could be scrumdiddlyumsh. A lot of the books that I showed maybe on Friday, I think it was on Friday, that example this type of layout, I think there's a lot of fun stuff that can be done with that. So, yeah, we're going to keep on keeping on. All right, so what we've got for today is Frank's suggestion of, I wrote it down, put it somewhere. Yes, it did. Superhero mail order scams. Okay, I'll write it down here. So, there's an expected way to go about this. The first thing, so whenever these 1-page ideas come in, optimally, one of the things that it presents anybody that's listening into this stream is how would you do it? I haven't talked about this enough, but how would you do this? What would be your approach? Now, I'm not asking you for it. Bear in mind, I'm not asking you for it. I'm going to do it my way. But how would you go about doing that page is a question I want you to ask yourself. It maybe even make notes about it. And consider that we had one opportunity for this recently. The 6-page Mars tries to get revenge on the Earth but fails miserably. I can't remember the entire elaborate title that my grandkids came up with. But Philip Chandler did a 1-page piece on that as well. And it's fantastically fun. When I was a lad in the 80s, candies and novelty packaging was on the rise. One I remember was tiny plastic video cassette boxes with a parody movie tile on them. Superman 20 or something. Oh, that's fun, Frank. Stupid Man is a Mad parody. I think it was, I can't remember which of the Mad guys that did that. Give me 1 second. I'll show you. This is a lot of fun. Those the original gang at Mad really stepped up. Like they sort of threw a gauntlet at so many creators that would follow them. Yeah, of course I can't find it easily. Well, either way, it's someplace. But the original gang at Mad, that usual bunch of idiots or whatever it was that you call themselves, which is, it's not a nice title to call your group, but they did. You got Will Elder in there. You got Harvey Kurtzman. For heaven's sakes. Anyways, so they did all kinds of fantastic superhero parodies, and they did all kinds of superhero pastiches where they would have Stupid Man as one of them, and they were just great. I mean, the way that they looked at it and poking fun at the idea of wearing your clothes on the outside and things like that. I always liked that. So it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun that people could look at something that's not serious and have an even more less serious take on it. So Frank says, I won't give you my take on it. Yeah, I don't want it. I want you to do it your way. Yeah, I'm gonna. But I have something in mind when I came up with it. I hope you do, right? And there's absolutely, I'm fully behind the idea. If any of these one-page things that we're knocking out here, if you've got your own spin on stuff and you have the facility of time and materials to do it, please feel free to knock one out yourself for sure, because it's incredibly liberating to just be able to freeform on something tight and fast and on its own at the side. My take is probably going to be a little bit ridiculous, but okay, I'm going to get cracking. I got exciting news, folks. Chris went shopping for supplies. Yes, I did. I got some pens. There's a bonus. I got to put it in camera. Hold on. What is this? Greatly offended by Gary's recommendation where he offered his suggestion? I don't know what you're talking about. What? Is that because Gary gave a subclause of wherever I wrote it down? What was it Gary said? Let me look it up. A beggar realizes that wishes are horses and rides off. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. It actually plays into a character. I'm going to show it to you. It hasn't got the text or color on it yet. But this actually plays off of something very similar that I've just done, Gary's suggestion today. Yeah, double click. There we go. Okay, let me find it. This is Bad Luck. This is Bad Luck Bill. And in Bad Luck Bill, it has an awful lot to do with this is Bad Luck Bill and his horse. And so I'm actually going to do a sequel to Bad Luck Bill with Gary's suggestion. So even though Gary has sort of given a substructure to the suggestion that he made, which people will do, it just doesn't mean that I'm going to follow through with it, right? But I like what Gary, this beggars realize that, horses are wishes. Well, in the context of this story, there's this is Bad Luck Bill with his horse Lucky and a gambling pig that always guesses the right things. The horse is named Lucky. The pig is named Petunia. It was this. There was about 5 people involved, and I was drawing this live in camera and taking suggestions as I went. So it turned out to be a whole conversation between Bill trying to get his horse and his pig to agree with the plan for them to get rich quick. And the only way that the pig will do it is if he's fed a consistent diet of 4-leaf clovers and whiskey. So, also the horse doesn't let Bill ride it. It's, a lot of fun. So, but that's the fun thing about ideas is that we can take this idea from Gary that he put forward today and maybe do a sequel to Bad Luck Bill. Bad Luck Bill. And, maybe I need to start putting, because I'm just about to do lettering for that. So maybe I need to make sure that when I am doing said lettering, I put a subtitle to it so that each time I can change the subtitle as I go along. But Bad Luck Bill, he can't get ahead no matter what. So, all right. So superhero mail order scams is today's suggestion. And I've got an idea behind this. And I just want to find something that I'm looking for. There we go. So I keep a piece of paper towel around so that while I'm working with ballpoint pen, I have the opportunity to sit down and take the extra ink that dollops up on one side of the pen and roll it out onto this other piece of paper. So, all right. So my idea behind this page is fun in my head. Anyhow, it's the idea that the potential of a thing is far more endearing sometimes than the actuality. It's a fun suggestion of superhero mail order scams. I mean, you could go a couple different ways with it. You could mail away 4 superheroes to appear at your house. That'd be a fun one. You could but I'm playing off of the what am I missing here? Gary is offended by Frank's offendedness. Frankly. Oh, come on, Gary. Huh? Frankly, my Gary. Okay. All right. All right, you two. When you just drive out of the other one's state and hug it out. Hug it out. I like the idea of, with a notion like a mail order superhero context. I think that the whole idea of mailing away for your little kingdom of sea people and all the other kinds of things that used to be in comic books when I was a kid. So fun, so absolutely ridiculous. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to play off on that a little bit here. So I picked up some of the pens that I was talking about, the Papermate 1.0M medium point. These are the pens that I enjoy the most for ballpoint, for drawing in ballpoint, because to me, they are the least likely to dollop up and make a mess of my page. Now, I'm going to be using a little bit of Micron in here as well, but uh-oh, Dad's coming. Here we come. You two, enough. Don't make me pull this car over. I don't know what's better of those. Paul giving the kids trouble or the other kid sitting in a corner just minding his own business. Yeah, of all the different ballpoint pens that I've used for drawing stuff, I find that the Papermates are actually the best for being able to get really soft lines down. You know, that you can build up values with overlapping the lines themselves, and but you can get a really soft and subtle line through these, and like I said, without that dollop of ink that smudges your whole, it happens far less frequently with these. So my intent here is that I'm going to be drawing some incredibly over-enthused kids. The idea of these kids mailing away for superpowers or the opportunity to become superheroes, to me, is funny and a little bit scary at the same time. Because there's always a kid that's, I'm going to eat a dinosaur. Whatever. The kid versions of Michael Keaton. If you have an opportunity, there's a movie that Michael Keaton did a few years back called, I think it's Multiplicity. It's where a person going through basically their midlife crisis finds out that they can clone themselves. And so each time as they clone themselves, it's a different aspect of their personality is the predominant trait of each clone. And so you've got your your solidly masculine, how you doing there, bud, kind of a guy. And then you've got your more of a homemaker or soft and an emotional version of himself, and he's the one that's really good at making lunches. And then you've got the copy of a copy, which comes out wrong. So, and of course, all four iterations of this character are played by Michael Keaton, and brilliantly funny comedian. Everybody just remembers him for Batman for the most part these days, which is so sad. Because some of these projects that he did, like Mr. Mom, just so good. What do we got here? There was recently a storyline online about a kid who ordered 10 grams of DoorDash. $10,000 of DoorDash? Good heavens. That's an awful lot. Frank, you're a lunatic. Love it. I think this weird thing about drawing the eyes. 10 grand. It was 10 grand. Holy cow. Scary. And it's all food. It's all food, no less. We can actually tell when our neighbor's oldest is home next door because there's constantly, every day, that there's DoorDash people at the house because he doesn't cook at all. But he's 6'9", 19 years old, so the kid eats. Yeah, so, I'm always curious to see what other people would do with some of these ideas. And, it's compelling to me, the notion that, of course, we're all going to interpret things very differently. And there's no right and wrong way. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about storytelling is that there's no such thing as the correct story. There was a release in the last so many years of the version of Star Wars that if it had just been done according to Lucas and McQuarrie's version of how they envisioned the whole film, and before, thank goodness, all the other departments got involved. And so they did and released a comic book series based on that. And it's just interesting to see the same old, here's the Star Wars thing, here's the Star Wars universe, but as though it was done by somebody else, even though it's the same guy, still Lucas. Han Solo was a lizard guy. Like, it's just weird. Frank wants to know if they ate. It's not 10 grand of food a day, I don't think, Frank. I think it's just the number itself is terrifying. Even if it's in the course of a year. Good heavens. The first piece of punishment for that young person is to go to school and learn how to cook. Your first sentence to go to a cooking class. And make it a good class for them too, like Cooking for Dummies, like just the most basic way of preparing anything to put in their mouth instead of ordering with a phone. One of our kids was explaining to us last night about these buildings that hold the the breakdowns. The kid was 6. That's terrifying. Ordered Vichy Soir every day. They have all of the components that are required for all these major food chains, and so when you order for these different franchise takeouts, it would just come from this place that just processes McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, all those different in the same factory, and makes it right then and there. They've got the setup to do so, and I thought, oh yeah, that sounds about right. You can't complain that that's not as doesn't make the food as authentic, because we're talking about McDonald's. Let's just start with that. Any franchise food it's already franchise food, right? It's not like it's the authentic McDonald's. They're all McDonald's. They're all Burger King. Okay, so my first kid is about done here, and but the narrative is going to consist along the lines of, that's right, kids, you've read the article. It's true. You too can have superpowers within a week. And I just want these delirious looking kids, Isn't the authentic Scottish burger I expected? My son is supposed to be saving for a deposit on an apartment. He used to order DoorDash all the time. He's got his own place and doesn't have to worry about you. Yeah, well, of course, it's tricky when you're like, hey, when is this going to happen? It's going to happen. Don't worry, I got it covered. No, you don't. That's a parent thing. Dad, I'm taking care of it. It's fine. It's going to be fine, man. Why are you worried about it? They know. The kids will get it figured out. It sounds like your son got it figured out. But he'll learn to cook quick in his own place once those bills mount up. He'll learn that DoorDash isn't necessarily the viable option. Okay, so here's our first kid. I'll just add a little more definition in his forehead here. So there's our first crazy look. Sound just like, well, that's what they sound like. Don't worry about it. I got it. Come on. I know. Hey, can you mow the lawn for me? I'll do it on the day. It is the day. Yeah. So this is another one of my I got a silly idea and I'm going to run with it pages. So, but it's also fun to. One, I like drawing in ballpoint pen, right? My son cooks for himself. He's 9. Oh, that's good. That's how it should be. They all sound like Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah. I don't like that movie. I'm probably gonna get me kicked out of the club here, but yeah, I'm sorry. It's every character in that film annoys the heck out of me. So I don't think I got through it. I think it took me three different tries to get that film in. It's funny, you gotta see Napoleon Dynamite. No. All right, Frank feels the same. Also don't like Scott Pilgrim. I think that movie's terrible. But these films aren't made for old farts. These films are made for kids. So there's some stuff I've been watching. There's some drawing channels that I've been watching and trying to bone up on how I go about doing my drawing and trying to look at some of the underlying structure of anatomy it's an important thing to do. Even, it doesn't matter how long you've been drawing or what you've been drawing, but it's a really important thing to challenge yourself and to step up what you're doing whenever you can. And so I take about a half an hour every night, and I go back to studying form. And what I mean by that is, give me a sec. When I talk about studying form, I'm referring to this. So each night I'll sit down and I'll just scribble out people. And this is this is from Friday. My grandson Maverick helped me with this one. That's all the crayon and everything in there, and still doesn't, And then so I'll just figure over figure, but the whole point of it is to try to just get a general feeling, a general idea of how bodies move and how we can break the form down into simpler shapes, and helps us come up with those less and less lines in order to interpret the body as we're drawing on a page. And if I can take a simple moment right now, I would like everybody to go and look at the posts by Paul Paint, because Paul has a nice, simplistic, elegant line to define the contours and the shape and the details of trucks and characters and their movement. It's really nice work, and Paul has been posting pretty regularly since he started his new book. And please go take a look at it. It's some good stuff. Give him some likes. His Instagram and Facebook, and I think you're on Facebook. Well, I don't know. You're on one of them. You want to put your thing down, Paul? Please feel free. Yeah, good stuff. There's lots of interesting stuff going on. Frank, Frank Salazar. You're taking a part of 100 Days of Making Comics, I think it is. And I think that's what it's called, Frank, if you can clarify that for me. But yeah, he's doing some great stuff too. Really pushing yourself, Frank. It's great. Doesn't matter where we are in our journey, you got to still keep just reaching for something. You know what I mean? Like, you still got to keep, don't sit down and rest in, I can draw this way, and I know that I'm good at that, and I'm going to stick with the thing that I know stylistically I can do a good result in. That's fine. There's nothing to say that that's wrong. It's just, we get comfortable in these approaches, and if they work for us and we stick with them, that's great. Develop your style and stay with it, and keep doing the same types of images, and if that makes you feel good, that's your journey. And then there's those crazy lunatics that just can't stop. I'm going to try this now. Hey, I'm going to try chainsaw juggling. I'm going to try drawing with my feet. My next book is going to be entirely drawn by holding the pen in my mouth. Don't have to, but I'm gonna. I'm close to that. I'm really close to that. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome, Paul, by all means. Please, everybody, go look at Paul. The 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. Nice. Jim gets a star. There you go. Just popped in and see what that's Kenny Rogers. Did you know that? Did you know that that's Kenny Rogers is the lead singer of that band before he went off to be the hero of the county? Yeah. Frank's going to do a page concept. I got a concept for a page. You're not going to like it. Anyways. It's great. It's a great reference, Jim. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did I miss Dee Dee? Did Dee Dee say hi and I missed it? Because I'm so feel like such a bad man. But hey, hi everybody. The Kenny Rogers. Yep, the Gambler fame. That's the band that he was in before he went changed direction there for himself. But that's him singing that song. Jeremy Burley, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize, had some really good advice for me on one of my pages. I was like, I need to step up my game. What was the advice, Paul, if you don't mind? Jim loves him some Kenny Rogers. I have a friend whose name is Reuben James, who never put it together, despite the fact that his mom is a huge Kenny Rogers fan, that she may have named him after that song. And so he says, hey, I'm Reuben. I said, Reuben James, that's your full name? And he goes, yep. I said, like the Kenny Rogers song? And he goes, what? Oh, no. Oh, no. I watched Dee Dee's post this morning, and she was going through all kinds of stuff she was getting in the mail, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, that's neat. That's cool. There's not any part of me that has, should I in any way, shape, or form write down where she's getting these things from, because I got to my wife says I can't go into a store without buying a pen. You know what I mean? Like, I got problems. And the last thing in the world I need is somebody going, look at the shiny baubles. Hey, have you seen? You got to try these. Oh, don't do that. So I'm trying to get that raised eyebrow in the face of these little bambinos as we're getting down to that expression, like on this kid, the previous kid. But what am I missing? Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Everybody loves Dee Dee. Advice on how to quickly produce backgrounds and reuse stuff. Yeah. There's definitely something to that. Let's give us some advice. Kid background named Annie. Follow up to this. Drink more Ovaltine. Is that Annie, or is that Christmas Story? I thought it was Christmas Story where they had to drink Ovaltine. Is that on Annie as well? Ovaltine was a really popular drink. History has advocated all kinds of things as from a healthy perspective over the years that maybe not the most successful health advice to give out. We learn over time. Eventually we get it. Ladies, you should meet your husband at the door with a glass of good old whiskey. Nothing soothes a man's mind like a glass of whiskey and some time to himself after having been at the office all day. All those sort of ads. If you're going to smoke cigarettes, smoke blue coal cigarettes. Actually, blue coal is coal, actual coal for furnaces. That's Blue Coal was the sponsor of Orson Welles' theater troupe that did The Shadow, sponsored by Blue Coal. Nothing heats your house like Blue Coal. Today's musical selection has been Close to the Edge by ES. Yep, there you go, Frank. That's exactly true. Blue Coal is a sponsor for The Shadow. I loved listening to those as a teenager. There's two different things that I listened to that my friends thought were the weirdest things on planet Earth when I was a teenager. One was the Shadow radio programs, and anybody else that watched those, let me know. And the other one was Jack Kerouac's Haiku and Blues, and his eventually I would get his whole box set of jazz albums that he would be, of spoken word jazz albums that he would be doing with Steve Allen. Well, they were all produced by Steve Allen, but there's Al Cohn is on there, Zoot Sims. Man, to get named Zoot, huh? Wouldn't that be great? Hey, Zoot, what do you got going on tonight? Man, nothing, man. You know, like you have to lean into that. Now I'm listening to OK Go because I like a band that gives me directions. Okay. What do we got here? Jim has a question for everybody. What is the most relaxing part of your process? For me, I love drawing backgrounds. Really? Really? Drawing backgrounds is the most relaxing part of Jim's. That's curious. Anybody else? Please feel free to throw down on that. Paul, was that something that was challenging to you, the idea of drawing the reusing backgrounds or stuff like that? Because drawing backgrounds was a nuisance? Frank, listen to that. Gary says, probably writing, but drawing-wise, I would say backgrounds. Really, guys? I'm surprised by these. I don't know. I don't know what's the most relaxing part for me. That's a good question. That's a really good question. I am establishing yet again how I'm not good at, top 5 of this. Only 5. I don't know what. See, whenever I'm feeling any anxiety about whatever I'm doing, I switch mediums to liberate myself from that. So, but when it comes to the actual process, I think it's probably the post stuff for me. There we go, Frank. Sitting in a hot tub with supermodels. Beautiful models, I'm sorry. Yeah, see, there you go. I completely understand that, Paul. Completely understand that. It is for a lot of people. J. Jonah Jameson says they're a menace. Inking characters is relaxing. Inking, really? Nice. Wow. That's nice to hear that there's a difference there. Yeah, for me, I think that it has to be, I've got the pages drawn and everything's all set to go. And so I've scanned it. There's this sort of feeling like, oh, that's all over. And then I go into the computer, and maybe that might be the most relaxing part for me. And the reason I say that is that it becomes putting a little bit of polish on the shoes. You know what I mean? Like it's the idea that all of the hard thinking is done. I've done that in the drawing process. And so now it's just fulfilling that and playing a little bit, reformatting things, realize as I'm drawing, oh, I wish I'd reverse this character, be facing the opposite direction. And the expediency that I've been finding more as I become more and more accustomed to working in Photoshop, that it affords me in finishing pages, I'm enjoying that, and I think that to me might be the most liberating and relaxing thing in my process, because all the things that I have felt were shortcomings on my part, I can make up for. I could promise you I never would have said that 2 years ago. That would be the furthest thing, the most remote idea from my mind would be able to consider that in any way, shape, or form, the digital process, the working in Photoshop, the cleaning up or assembling of pages, anxiety inducing. You just need to find something. And Paul, maybe it is the reusing of backgrounds, or maybe it is if you draw a large image for a background, here's a fun thing. If you draw a large image for a background, and then you've got characters walking in this contextual area of this background that you've drawn, if you draw it larger and, with enough depth to it, you can tighten your camera shots on different aspects of that, and it still looks like completely unique and different drawings. That's a fun little trick to be able to use. Now, everybody run back to any pages you've seen me do and see where I've done that. Or just don't draw backgrounds, establish scenes, and move on. There's something to be said for having a number of characters conversing with white backgrounds in front of or behind them. There we go, Frank. Thank you. When my son's team would start soccer practice, all the guys would start shooting. Coach would ask him, "How many shots do you take at a game?" This reminds me of drawing backgrounds. It's everywhere. Nice. Hot tub Frankie. Hold on, Jim. Hold on. It's a violent soccer game. It's true, though. My wife coached soccer for a while there, and the most important things that she'd be putting these kids through is being able to actually move with the ball. And it's true. Like you don't think about that aspect of it. You just think about scoring the goals, right? So, okay. So what I'm doing down still is getting this list of kids' expressions, and I'm going to do a few more of those. But let me jump ahead and further our story here I'm going to come in with a young man who's reading a comic and getting the advertisement from the backs, just so that, what are we at, 52 minutes now? So I'll just get some of that in, identifiably done and established for the story. My son played AK-47. Is that he had the machine gun kick? One of my kids, and I'm not going to say which one it was, one of my kids was so fantastic. We loved watching him play soccer because he would walk up the field, and if the ball got within 3-5 feet of him, he'd hoof it whatever direction he was facing. So hopefully he's walking towards the other team. He didn't care. He just didn't care. It was not his man, but he liked kicking it. That's good. I'll kick it. And I respect that. I appreciate that. Another one of my kids played baseball and would wear his glove on his head in the outfield, and we're constantly screaming at him, "Watch out, the ball!" Because he's wearing his glove on his head, just standing there in the field or picking grass or whatever he's doing, but clearly not engaged in watching where the ball is and what's going on. So, yeah, that was a little disconcerting. There's a funny thing from an old goals. Yeah, there's a funny cartoon. It was on Adult Swim. I think it was this soccer coach, and it was H. John Benjamin, the guy who does the voice of Archer and Bob's Burgers and all these things. And so he was the voice of this coach, and he was trying to motivate some kid named Sheldon. "All right, Sheldon, here you go, buddy. You're in that now. Gonna take a shot at you, try to stop it." And it's just like it's fantastic because that nasally voice, "All right, kid, just do whatever you can there, and try to stop the ball. It's kind of the idea here, All right, well, that was a good effort. Let's see if you can stop this one. And the kid never stops anything, but it was just fantastic. The apathy in that voice, and he knew for a fact that kid was never going to stop a ball. All right, we're going to be here all night at this point. It's kind of one of the voice ideas that I was leaning into for Jim, to do for Jim. Welcome everybody to the latest semifinals bowling. Just no effort whatsoever as an announcer. Meanwhile, the other announcer would, of course, have to make up the information. Is there anything, in accordance with what Jim was talking about, that's the most relaxing aspect of people's creative process. What is the most antagonizing part of people's creative process? I'd be keen to find out what that might be for people. Is there something that if you can not do, or if you can, or it's the thing that maybe just holds you back from getting going? For me, I used to have a real problem with wrecking perfectly good paper with whatever silliness I was going to draw on it. And so once I started doing this different forms of applique, of putting tape down or throwing paint, or I mean, one of the things that helps me with assembling comic pages at this point is that I don't feel like I have to be overly concerned about laying in all the panels and laying in the whole structure of the page. I just start drawing, and I can do that assembly process through Photoshop. And no matter what ruler I use, or no matter what lines I try to put together for the frames and the borders, I find that they're never as good as they should be. And so I've realized that I just do that in Photoshop. So that helps me get rolling. So what's the thing that's the most antagonist, an idea for you, but antagonizing an idea for you, but what do you do to accommodate that? Why don't you have Captain Goggles do this instead? Is that what people say to you? That's antagonizing for sure. The Making Comics podcast guys use the analogy of snakes from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where he's rescuing animals from a burning pet shop and leaves the snakes for last. I remember that. He comes and goes, and just runs past them. And at the end, he comes out with like 20 on him. Falls to the ground. It's so good. So the thing you put off until last is your snake. For Gary, it's drawing dinosaurs in DVSM. What? Really? Because you're very good at that, but at the same time, it's Gary. It's also your book, and you're the one that put the dinosaurs in them. I'm just saying. That's interesting. It's really interesting to me. You draw very good dinosaurs for them giving you such a hard time. Every time I'm just debating with myself, do I put feathers on these buggers or not? Somebody's going to argue with me about it. Oh, boy. I just want to draw a Sasquatch with a ham sandwich, but I can't for this book, and it drives me crazy. Frank doesn't like drawing goggles. You guys are blowing my brain up here. Again, Frank, Captain Goggles. You did that to yourself. Jim tells me that he doesn't like animating, I'm going to need a timeout. Paul can't stand drawing detectives. What's going to happen next? What are you guys doing to me? I don't like drawing kids. Frank's really animated. Chins are the worst. No, they're no different than anything else. Scott Circlin hates drawing zombies. Wouldn't that be something? You guys are all blowing my minds. Sometimes those objective ideas that we have in our heads. I'm going to draw this story based on this. And hey, what did we get in the mail, Philip? Philip, the question is, what is that thing in your process, in your creative process, that you find the most antagonistic? So if anybody has any answers for that, whoever's listening, please throw it out. Throw it out there, because maybe other people have had solutions towards how to overcome that. It's interesting that to hear some of the answers, because Gary has a challenge with dinosaurs, and his book is DVSM. Or Frank doesn't like drawing goggles. Captain Goggles is his book. You guys are all messing with my mind. I think it's just a big. Hey, I got an idea. On Monday, Let's Talk Chris, we all are challenged by the choices of the books that we're working on. Yeah, that'll get them. Hey, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Also, let's tell them that Paul's son orders $10,000 of McDonald's. In a month. So I'm trying to get that over the top, surprise, shock, and awe expression on these kids. I hope that's coming across. Phil ordered marker holders. Uh-oh. Frank says this is the exact time conversation that you had last night. Is that right? Philip's problem is regular interruptions throughout the day. Yeah, like them Amazon guys. Schedule it together. So, yeah, I wish, I'm sorry that I'm constantly turning and spinning the thing as I'm working. I wish I could honestly keep it. Maybe I'll just nail the camera to the board so as it spins around, the camera does too. And you wouldn't realize I'm doing it. I apologize for that. Keep it still. What are you doing? Time of the drawing. So yeah, well, I think of all the different medium that I use, the one that I may, strangely enough, feel most comfortable with for just drawing straight on with is a toss-up for me between color erase pencils for laying out pages to be inked, or just drawing with Papermate ballpoint pens, and specifically these Papermate pens. I got 11 of them, folks. That's 10 plus 1. Red Frank's comment. I see interruptions is that's my normal setting. It's just that's where I start from, is balancing a few different things going on. I can't, even if none of the kids or grandkids are over, I got the cats, and they're just as challenging. I had to make emergency calls at the last minute before the stream was about to begin. That I forgot to call earlier about some scheduling. So what's that? Oh, thanks, Philip. That's very nice of you, buddy. I just using general reference for these and just following the lines as I do my old typical tractoring through the image thing. But this is the young man who's going to be holding the comic book. A lot of those softer round shapes I find help when drawing kids' hands as opposed to adults, is I try to make sure that all the lines are rounded. And I know that sounds a little weird, but just because their hands are soft, right? Like you can, there's X amount of sharp angles in a crooked old hand like this, but little people's hands, they're not only chubby, and which smooths out a lot of the lines, but at the same time a little bit more bulbous in form. It reminds me of a teacher's comment I had once when I was in high school. He said, "Hey, remember hands have fingernails." Here's a piece of advice for you guys all, man. Hands have fingernails, Runciman. There's a couple of, if you like ballpoint pen drawing, or if it's something that you're interested in trying out, there's a couple of people that I would refer you to that are really quite wonderful at it. And the principal one I would say would be Dave. I think it's Dave Malinart or Dave Malinart. I don't know how it's pronounced, but quite honestly, I can't remember how it's spelled. But look him up on Instagram. He has an incredible ability for this elegantly few amount of lines in order to define form and to define movement in the surfaces, the planes of the person as he's drawing them, and I really respect that process. But it's whatever you enjoy, right? And even those things that can cause us agite along the way. It's the repetition over time, whether it's drawing backgrounds, whether it's drawing subject matter that's particularly challenging to us. it gets easier over time. Frank's first TikTok video was a time lapse of his hands drawing Optimus Prime. Most of the comments were compliments on my nails. That's unfortunate, but at the same time, nice nails, buckaroo. Or is it because you would chew your nails? I've only had one person really give me the gears about that. But I don't do it anymore. So, this week. So it's just drawn in the book that the young guy is reading. I've considered about the graphics on it. And is it something I want to do at this point? Or is it something that I want to do in Photoshop and get a little bit tricky with it by trying to find an old 1970s, hero of the beach? Or is that's earlier, I think, than the 70s. One of the funniest characters in comics is a guy named Flex Metallo. And the origin story that was given for him is basically Charles Atlas cartoon advertisement at the back of books. It gets, sends away from a special drink for him to choose from, exercise regimen, and becomes a hero of the beach and beats up the bullies. And the mystery of muscle magic is what it's called. So he flexes and he can knock a wall down. That's great. Take that. What a great character. Wears leopard print underwear. That's his entire costume. Simplistic design is the way I like it. Frank is self-conscious about his nails. Oh, there you go. I have been for a long time, but I just need to be, needed to make that decision to stop it. Just stop it. Ransom, and leave those nails alone, what they do to you. Now I scratch myself 16 times a day. All right, so this is the little guy who's looking at the thing. Now, honestly, in post, I would go about and fix his eyeballs. Maybe I'll just do it now. Because I want to tilt that angle. Well, this guy's dead. Yahtzee. And I got... Let's find another one. This is a gift I got from my good friend David for Christmas. It's a little mini easel. And I keep a couple of pens in it. And but you prop it up and put a small book or something like that when you're on the go and traveling around and work on that. I was disappointed when it came in because I thought it'd be much bigger. I was actually quite taken with the size that it is because I had larger ones. They didn't do it for me, but that one does. I really like the ability to transport that around. So I just turned the angle. I put some weight above at the top of the eye so I could redirect the eyes down towards the paper a little bit more. So hopefully that helps the viewer to understand where the kid is looking. Okay, so my whole approach to superhero mail order scams is all of these kids gleefully excited with the fact that they've read this advertisement in the back of the periodical, the back of the comic book, or in one of the advertising pages, and offers them the ability to have muscle powers, superhero muscle, superhero strength. So the next thing I want to draw is I'm going to do one more kid's expression of glee. But the next thing that I want to draw is kids tearing things apart. That's my creative direction on this is these kids have all mailed away. They've read the article. They've got the superhero ability, and they are going to become absolute nuisances at this point. So, yeah. But before I do that final, or that direction with this, I'm going to do that final kid. Starting with an I here, just because this isn't a fun expression. You're on TT, Frank. What is TT, Philip? I'm not hip with all these terms you kids are throwing around here. I'm thinking something along the lines of toilet paper, but I might be wrong. Oh, TikTok. Good God. Yep, I'm hip. Seriously. So this is another, I wanted the over-the-shoulder shot for one of these kids with this sort of, big-eyed, crazy expressions. There's something about, there's a story I want to do where the villain is a kid, but the kid is absolutely full of glee and joy, but just an absolute nightmare for everyone around them. It's sort of like a play on Dennis the Menace is an idea that I have for a story where this kid is actually everything wrong about the world, but it's I've got the approach is the problem that I'm having about how would I start to engage this, because do I tell it from the kid's perspective and write it like Mr. Winkins wouldn't let me have a nice campfire in the back of his building, and here's this four fire trucks gathered at this building that's clearly ablaze. He got really cross about it too, just this kid that completely has a disconnect about his actions. And that was one notion. Towards the story. I'm still trying to feel it out. And another one would be from the perspective of, so the visual element would be everybody else's perspective of the outcomes, right? But the narrative perspective would be from the kid. And the other idea was to have the narrative perspective of everybody else in responsiveness to the crazy nonsense he's getting up to. But meanwhile, he's just skipping through the daisies and he's at a pond hitting a fish in the water with a stick for whatever reason. And, he's caused a severe disruption in the amount of available fisheries that we have in the entire province. I don't know, just something extreme. But this kid has no connection to his impact. So that's one idea, anyways. I just like the idea of reviewing Dennis the Menace from a more broad standpoint. Mr. Wilson, just take it way too far. That's basically it. The little antagonisms he would cause his neighbor and just turn him into gross misdemeanors. There's a character that Alan Moore created called Jack Be Quick, and it's about this child genius inventor, and all of his inventions are nightmare fuel for his family. And he's got a Schrodinger's cat. He makes his cat a Schrodinger. He actually ties with string buttered toast to the back of his cat and throws it up in the air. Of course, the rest of this brief few comic pages, this cat's going wow wow in a circle. Yeah, best part of ABC Comics by Alan Moore is, in my opinion, Jack Be Quick. Just love that. Wants chocolate milk, so he does some sort of genetic tampering with all the local cows. Just, look them up. They're really big, good, wonderful pieces. They really are. Drawn, illustrated beautifully. Drawn in computer by Kevin Nolan. Kevin Nolan was one of the first adapters to working purely digitally. In the mainstream comic market in North America. He's a huge advocate for it going back to the earliest days of its creation, like some of these programs' inception point. Gotta respect that a little bit. That would have been a heavy investment at that time because computers were ridiculously expensive. Frank has an account on TikTok. Get on there, Frank. Do the dances. I only learned from one of my kids recently that TikTok isn't only people doing group dances. Like I thought it was, where all the kids go and dance. Oh, good gosh. Completely out of touch. So the rest of this page, so I'm taking the innocence of excitement in these kids about, you too can send away for your very own superpowered set. Who knows what kind of powers you're going to get when you get mailed this, uranium or whatever it is. And so I wanted to start it off with having these enthusiastic perspectives from these children of, I'm going to eat ponies, like just whatever ridiculous ideas these kids have, whatever they're going to do with their powers. And just try to have some examples of these kids are absolute lunatics and menaces afterwards. The last thing in the world that needs to happen in any contextual superhero narrative is that children are given these powers to defy the general laws of physics. It's just asking for trouble. Philip says that TikTok is mostly political debating. Is it? Wow, I didn't expect that. I thought that was Twitter. I thought that was where everybody loses their marbles. I'm right, you're wrong. I want all the jelly beans. You people don't deserve to handle jelly beans. Everyone is beautiful, and if you don't agree with that, you're stupid. It's not nice to be mean to others, you stupid jerks. I don't know. I'm making things up. I don't go on there. Started as dancing and lip syncing, and now it's viral trends and whatnot. I mostly uploaded time lapses. Well, I have learned something today, fellas. Thank you for that. So if I want to do some viral time-lapse dances, now I know where to go. All right. This is a fun one. Give her a little bit of a frilly collar here. Looking like she's in her little best outfit to go to church. This girl's going to flip a bus. Yeah, all right. Good fun. So the whole idea with a page like this is it'll start working up an idea. And so because the suggestion today is superhero mail order scams, the initial presentation towards the idea on my part is to look at the enthusiasm of these kids that are going to sign up for these, potential superhero powers that you're going to get in the mail. And but then the second part, because you always need to continue. There's an establishing point in your story approach, but then you have to elevate that or denigrate that. And so, okay, we've established that these kids are all enthusiastic over getting superhero powers, and but what do they get up to once they do, right? And because it's like a gun in the hand of a child type thing. These kids are going to be nothing but crazy. So for me, the rest of this page is going to be drawing images of, a hole smashed through the wall of a house with a kid going, "No!" The hands up in the air like, "Woohoo!" Or a number of adults knocked out on the floor, and there's a kid going, thumbs up. They tried to ground me. So yeah, I'm gonna try a couple of different things. So we had there's some good stuff today. It's an hour and a half. I'm going to start, getting together to wrap it up because I've been having some lows in the old blood sugar today. So there's some things about, we've all got different positives. We all got different negatives in our approach to creating whatever it is we're working on. There's things that are smooth as butter, and then there's things that are challenging to each of us in their own way. I think it's always just simply a matter of figuring out how to find working mechanisms in place for whatever those things are that challenge us. If it's repetition, if it's finding out key ideas from other people about ways to simplify or about ways to move ahead with these approaches, like the backgrounds or whatever it is that's holding us up. If there's insights that others have for one another on ways to overcome those hurdles, or what worked for them in case those hurdles were challenging for them, whatever it is, I think that's one of those things that's really easy for us all to share creatively with one another. I think that's one of those things that's always going to be maybe the most simplistic thing in the world outside of a hug. To sort of say, if that's giving you problems, try doing this with it. Try this instead. Who knows? So if anybody's suggested anything and you know them or you have their contact information, shoot them what works for you. Chris, can you sing "It's Nice We Had This Time Together"? Well, Jim, I could try to. Then tug on your earlobe. Oh, then tug on it. And then I read it after I did it. No, because I don't like Seth What's-His-Face. I don't want to get sued by Carol. I a couple of times, if you look at early videos of Everybody Wants to Listen to My podcast, if you look at some of the earlier ones that I posted of these, I close with Mr. Rogers' close, and I do it on purpose. And I don't think anybody picks up on it. I'd either talk sing it, or I'd just say it like it was conversational. Or I'd actually a couple of times I actually sort of lightly hummed it to myself or sang it to myself as I was closing off. So, those are the fun things, right? If I'm going to do anything as a close, instead of singing "It's So Nice We Had This Time Together," I'd probably stand in the background pushing a mop. Scratch my butt. So every time we say, there you go. Philip says, I don't think anyone got it either. No, I really don't. I threw it out a few times, and here's another thing, and I don't know if anybody's picked up on this. In the errata that's underneath the videos, the live videos. After I've posted those, I always put, contact links and stuff like that underneath each one. But I also put two things in there that I change every time. This episode, and I make something up, and thank you, and I change the thank you every time. And I've never heard peeps from anybody while I've been doing this. And on top of it, I've been doing it for a long time. Like I've been doing it for, I don't know, going back how many videos. But that's another fun little thing that I do that I don't think anybody else gets. And I do it every time, right? In this, I don't even know what I put for today. I never remember what I put for each one. That's the best part. But, it's nice we've had this time together. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to, just leave it hanging there. But yeah, I'll sing Carol Burnett for you sometime, buddy. And most of the people that watch this won't get it. But I've got all kinds of little fun things. It's been fun to talk about, and I hope you had fun too. Anyways, okay, so I'm going to take off. Tomorrow I'll be back at 2:00. If anybody has one-page comic ideas, and there you go, Frank. There you go. Dang it. Dang nabbit, I would have got away with it too if it were for those pesky meddling kids and their dog. Yeah. There you go. Nicely done, Philip. I can hear you singing it in my head. If anybody has one-page comic ideas they want to throw at me, please feel free to put it in the comments on the videos. And tell all your friends. And by all means, if there's things that you see that I've done as one-page comics that you think are fun ideas and you want to try them yourself, I'd love to see it. I really would. I'd like to see what everybody's working on. And thank you, everybody, today for your honesty in disclosing the things that give you challenges in your creative process, because that was really cool that you did that. Something people didn't have to do. All right, I'm going to sign off for now. I'll be back at 2:00 tomorrow. In the meantime, keep creating. Have a good night. Bye for now.